Well, hello, welcome, and good morning, everyone. I'm Assembly Member Freddie Rodriguez, and I want to begin by thanking each and every one of you for joining me on this virtual Senior Scam Stopper webinar. Since the beginning of the pandemic, we have seen our seniors in California have been increasingly affected by scams. In an effort to protect folks in our community against these threats, we have invited representatives from several local and state agencies to give presentations and offer insight to our audience about how to avoid these scams and, most importantly, protect themselves. First, I want to take a moment to share a few updates on the recent actions I've taken to address many important issues facing our state. This year, I've introduced 35 bills focused on protecting students, teachers, healthcare professionals, and first responders, just to name a few. As chair of the Assembly Emergency Management Committee, I'm using my career-long experience as a first responder to ensure legislation is aimed at protections of the public, whether it's a pandemic, a natural disaster, or a wildfire. Just recently, we passed a budget that will provide more funding for our workforce development, including $3 million for Chaffee College. These funds will be used to build a welding and training facility in the NTEC Center in Fontana, which will be able to train over 100 individuals every year and giving them careers in high-paying jobs. Also, feel free to follow me on social media or visit my website to see more legislation and what I've been working on for you. So with that, let's begin today's presentations. To help keep you protected against scammers and other potential threats, I've invited guests from various state and local agencies to give presentations on today's webinar. There will be a question and answer period at the end of today's webinar, so please type any questions you may have in the chat on Facebook. First, we'll hear from Dolores Kwan, a crime prevention specialist from the Ontario Police Department. Dolores, when you're ready.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Dolores Kwan, and I am with the Ontario Police Department. I am in the community engagement team, and working in that team, we focus on long-term problem solving for the city of Ontario. Our unit works specifically with homelessness, graffiti. We do crime-free multi-housing. We do identity theft, identity fraud, and we also work hand in hand with our cops, our patrol officers, to try to solve those long-term problems here in the city. Today, I'm here to talk about more specifically on ID scams. As many of you are aware, a lot of scam calls are received. Thousands of calls are received, not only targeting our senior community, but everybody in general. So here at the PD, we focus on trying to educate our residents about the importance of not giving your personal information when you are dealing with somebody over the phone. These individuals tend to be very persuasive. They tend to be very professional at what they do. And it is very, very easy to fall a victim to this crime. Not too long ago, I got a call from a resident stating that she had received a call from Southern California Edison that they were going to be cutting her services, and that if she did not pay immediately $300, her services were going to get disconnected. And they were already around the corner in their trucks getting ready to turn off the utilities. They caught her in a moment where she was desperate. She had little children. And like I said, this is not just targeting seniors, but everybody in general. They gave her specific instructions on what to do. She had to go to her local Walgreens. They gave her the address. They told her what kind of Visa debit card she had to purchase. And she purchased it. They were on her, calling her. Do you have that number, the debit card number? Because your house is next. She gave it to them, and she lost $300 within a matter of minutes. It's very important that we do not give our information over the phone. Just for you guys to know, if you are not already aware, So the Social Security office, Southern California Edison, the gas company, they will not ask you for your personal information over the phone. They will communicate to you via mail. If you are getting ready to get your services suspended, they will communicate with you through the mail. Social Security being compromised, your car is under warranty, is because, you know, you have to make sure that you do your thorough investigation on your end. It is okay to ask for credentials if somebody comes to your doorstep and says, I'm here with California Edison, I have my uniform, and you have the right to ask for credentials to make sure that they are there to service your meter. You know, they're not there to rob you. You can call any of these companies to verify, hey, do you have your people coming out in the city that I live in and on this block? And they will verify with you if they legitimately have somebody there. So the importance of keeping all your personal information secure. They do target a lot of the elderly. So just a quick reminder, be vigilant, you know, do not share your information. And even if you have a slight doubt, that means that you need to do your thorough investigation and make sure that what they are asking for is legitimate. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a scam because, like I said, you will get contacted through the mail if they need to get a hold of you. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dolores, for the update.
Yeah, of
and
course.
Thank you for participation on this call. Next, we'll hear from Inkem Okoro, who is a supervising social service practitioner of the San Bernardino County Department of Aging and Adult Services and Adult Protective Services Division. Inkem.
Good morning. Thank you very much. It's nice to be here, and I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to Assemblyman Mr. Rodriguez. I really appreciate giving us the opportunity to be in such a beautiful place. As you know, we really emphasize helping our seniors, and DOS comprises of the area agency, and part of it is APS. And in APS, so part of APS is trying to advocate our seniors and respond to such neglect and all the scam going on. Right now, we know that about $3 million is being swindled and scammed out of our seniors every year, according to the FBI in the US. So it's our seniors are in a very, very tough situation, and which is very, very unfair. Mostly the major 3 types of scam that we see coming into our office. The major 3, and I'm going to slide the next one. Okay, good. Then the major 3 types of scams that we see are romance scam, computer hacking scam, and lottery scam. And I'm going to give a little brief discussion about each one. Now, the way the romance scam works is, of course, our seniors sometimes get letters and telephone calls, and sometimes they even go on the internet. And they are told, and this lady from nowhere tells them, oh, I love you. It could be a lady, it could be a guy, I love you. And tell everything, just say the right words that the person wants to hear. And of course, and most of the time, they put a younger picture. So if it's a gentleman trying to scam a lady, they put a younger picture of a very nice, dashing, handsome young man. And of course, they start saying all the sweet things to sweep the person. And before you realize it, next they start requesting for money. And of course, our seniors, and you have to know, part of the trend is that some of our seniors are isolated, some of them are lonely, and they need that companionship. So for somebody to pay attention to them, they really take advantage of those seniors. And they tell them to send money, and the money could come in different ways. They could say, oh, my sister is sick, or sometimes, like we just got one, where they say we need $900 to buy a ticket to come to the US and visit. And of course, we know that that's not true. Some of the scammers are from out of the country. So they said, this lady said that they said they needed $900 to come visit. And so when she went to the bank, of course, the bank knew it was fraudulent, and then they tried to discourage the lady. And sometimes you even discuss with some of the seniors, and we have to really work hard with them and the bank to let them know that this is a scam, because sometimes they think it's true. I've met the love of my life. I've met somebody who I'm going to spend the rest of my life. And it's just a very sad situation. Then the next one, we tend to have our computer hacking scams, which is one of the ones to receive again in our office. You know, a senior is on the computer, either emailing the family members or looking up pictures of family members, and then something pops up, say, oh, and of course the senior clicks on it and the computer freezes up. So once the computer freezes up, then they go into part 2 of the trick. Then you get a message to unfreeze this computer. You need to go buy us some gift cards. And they give them instructions on how to buy the gift cards. And then once the senior buys the gift cards, last one was about $500. I had a senior where they said he needed to buy $500 worth of gift card. So when he came back with the gift card, on the computer, they'll tell you the website to go, and you type the serial numbers of the gift cards inside that website. And once you type it in, then they unfreeze your computer, and of course, the money is gone. And like I said, unfortunately, some of the scammers are outside the country also. And then the third one that we tend to get a lot is the lottery scam. The way the lottery scam works is they tell the senior that you just want some money. You want about 100,000, and that's the one we quite often get. You want about $100,000, but we need about $2,000 to pay the taxes and pay all the paperwork. And then of course, the senior sends that money out. But when the senior sends it out, the senior doesn't get anything in return. And sometimes also, they even still victimize the senior the second time. I had a client where they did the lottery scam. They told the senior that she had won something. She had won, I think, about 100,000, but she should send 2,000. The senior sent $2,000. And of course, they didn't hear from the scam artist. Then a couple of weeks later, somebody else called that we just busted some scamming group. And we just busted this scamming group, but you need to send $200. They said a certain amount. You needed to send a certain amount in order to process it, and also to make sure those guys are sent to jail. That the first group scammed her, and it was a scam. So again, she sent money again, thinking that yes, this group works. So some of our seniors also get scammed the second time by the same group. And so these are just some of the stuff we encounter in our Department of Aging and Adult Services. And of course, APS, we try as much as possible to work with our seniors. And one of the ways we try to resolve some of these issues is we work APS, which means Adult Protective Services. We work closely with the banks, we work with law enforcement, and we work with DA. But sometimes it's really difficult to prosecute because scam is on the low pole for law enforcement, and also most of the time the FBS, right, if it's outside the country, and if it's a little amount of money, they don't really show interest. So, but we, as much as possible, do our best to make sure that we work very closely with the banks. So sometimes the account will be shut down. We will advocate on behalf of the client for the account to be closed. We will also work with the DA. If there's enough evidence, the local law enforcement is going to take it to the DA to see whether it could be prosecuted. That's right. If they're within the US, we go after those ones. The ones, anything outside the country, of course, falls under the jurisdiction of the FBI. So these are some of the issues right now our seniors encounter. And then we also educate the seniors. When we go to visit the seniors at home, we tell them it's a scam, don't fall for it. If you don't know the person and the person tells you they're in love with you, don't believe it. There are lots of nice people in your area you can see. We also encourage our seniors to go to the nearest senior center where they can hang out with other seniors, and you never know, they can see somebody they like there. So basically, we try also to engage in education, tell them, hey, go to the senior centers, go to your local churches, get yourself very busy in the society so you're not isolated. Because another thing again is most of the scammers, they tend to target our seniors that are isolated or lonely, especially the romance scam. So we tell them, go to your local church, go to your local senior center. You might see somebody that it's really nice. And for the computer, we tell them, if you see somebody online, you don't know the person online, don't go for it. And if possible, put an antivirus on your computer. So that way you're not getting those pop-ups and all those unsolicited mails. And for lottery, if you didn't spin, or you didn't play any kind of lottery, then don't fall for it. Anyway you didn't invest, then don't go for it. So these are some of the proactive measures the county is taking, which is APS and as Department of Aging and Adult Services is trying to do to curtail scam and scammers. And
well, thank you very much, Kim.
of
I
course,
appreciate it.
we have, for any scam, you can always contact APS. Our phone number, it's called Adult Protective Services, and our phone number is 1-877-565-2020. And we are open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Come snow, come rain, come tsunami, we're always open, and we're always there to help out our seniors. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks again, Inkem. I really appreciate your presentation and very informative information you had there. So with that, our next panelist is Alejandra Pereira Aguilar from the Employment Development Department. Alejandra, are you there?
Yes, hello. Give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and pull up my PowerPoint here. Perfect. Can you guys see my PowerPoint now?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. Okay, so hello, my name is Alejandra Pereira Aguilar. I'm here representing EDD. I currently work in the investigation division, and our presentation is going to focus on how to protect yourself and recognize scammers. In today's presentation, we will be covering how to protect yourself, how to avoid scams, and how to report fraud in case you do find yourself a victim or involved in a fraud scheme. Before we get started, I wanted to just give you a little bit of information about myself. I started with EDD back in 2014. I was hired to work under the unemployment insurance branch. And so I am very familiar with all of the information pertaining to what goes on when a claim is filed and all the process afterwards. I then served as a UI navigator. So that's in case you ever go into a public office. I was one of the representatives that helped facilitate the connection between the customer and unemployment insurance. And then currently I work in the investigation division and I analyze allegations against fraud in the various EDD programs. So let's talk about you now. So how to protect yourself against fraud. First and foremost, be vigilant. Be extremely selective when sharing your personal information. Anyone could overhear that information and use it for fraud purposes. So let's talk about what that means. So how to protect yourself for EDD related fraud. Now, EDD wants you to be alert. Claimants should be aware that people are trying to impersonate EDD personnel and ID me processes to get you to divulge your personal identifying information. So just some things to keep in mind in case you're ever contacted by EDD. If EDD does call, the caller ID may show us as State of California as it's abbreviated on your screen, or it might actually show the phone number of one of our call centers. And if it does, it would come from that 1-800-300-5616 number. And the phone calls will only come from 8 in the morning until 8 p.m. If you ever receive a phone call from EDD outside of that range, then that's definitely a sign that that is fraud. Now, EDD does communicate with its claimants via text messages at times, but that is something that you have to opt into. You have to select to be communicated with in that way. So in case you do select to be communicated through the text messages are sent from one of two numbers. So it will either say from the 510-74 number, or it would come from the 918-06 phone number, and it will only be sent to the phone number that you provided to EDD. So say, for example, you file a claim and you give them your own personal number, and then your cousin receives a text message about your claim. That's fraud, right? So whatever number we have on file is the number that we would choose to contact you on. Now, keep in mind that EDD will never send a physical representative to your home or contact you via social media or any other website. So if you ever do have a claim and someone contacts you via Facebook, that's not EDD. If they contact you via LinkedIn, that's not EDD. If they contact you from anywhere outside of the EDD website, it is most likely someone posing as an EDD employee, and you should not have any contact with them. Now, say you go through all of these things, but you still receive a call, right? So if you receive a phone call, a text message, maybe even an email from EDD, and you have not initiated either an unemployment, a disability, or a paid family leave claim. So essentially, if you have never applied for EDD benefits, do not, and I repeat, do not provide any information to the representative. Do not give them your name, do not give them your social, do not give them anything, because what will happen is that person's essentially just trying to obtain your information to either file a fraudulent claim or even use your information for other purposes, such as credit card theft or anything of that sort. So do not give them any information. Do not reply to the email or the text message. This could be fraud. Instead, what you should do is you should hang up the phone call and report the incident to EDD via the Ask EDD report fraud. I will provide all of that information later on so you know exactly which website to use. Now, if you do receive a text message or an email, make sure that you do save those so that when you include your referral, you are able to provide us a copy of that text message, because we can use it to distinguish what scheme it's involved with. Now, say you receive a call, but you do have benefits, right? So if you did file for EDD benefits recently, before you provide any of that information, ask yourself this question. Did I request or did I initiate a call back from EDD? If you did not request or initiate a call, so that means like if your claim is going fine, you're receiving your benefits as normal, you have not prompted EDD to call you in any way, and your answers to any of the questions have not changed, we're going to do the same thing as if you didn't have a claim at all. We are not going to provide any information to that person. We're going to hang up that call, and instead we're going to report the fraud, the incident as potential fraud to the EDD. Now, if you did request EDD contact, so maybe you went to your assembly person, you sent us a message via UI online, maybe you went to a physical office or something in order to try and get an issue resolved, before you do disclose your information, look around you. Make sure you're in a secure location before providing any information. You do not want to provide your information if you're in a busy place or a public location, right? Say you're in a park. Somebody could be around you and could overhear your information, jot it down, and then before you know it, your identity has been compromised. So just make sure that you take a look around. Even if you are certain that it is EDD, you want to make sure that you are in a secure location before providing any further information. Now, if you're unsure, you're listening to this person and you're still not sure, is this EDD? Is this not EDD? What do I do? Hang up and instead call their general 1-800 numbers. I've gone ahead and indicated the phone number for both unemployment and disability. Anytime that EDD tries to contact you, whether we are successful or not in reaching you, we will always notate your claim. And so if you're ever unsure, hang up, call us back, and we will be able to tell you, oh yes, here in the system it says that someone did call, or we're able to confirm your suspicions and say, no, we didn't call you, that might have been fraud. So now, avoiding scams. Scammers are trying to get your personal information for a number of criminal reasons, including applying for unemployment benefits. So be watchful. You can help stop them and avoid identity theft. So these are a couple of tips that we suggest when communicating with EDD. Do not respond to any communication on social media or phone apps. The EDD does not reach out to the claimants in this way. Do not respond back to any text messages. Text messages asking people to activate benefit cards by clicking a link are scams. Bank of America and EDD will never send you a text message to activate your card. If you do get one of those text messages, what they're trying to do is obtain your user information for Bank of America, and they will take away all the money in your account. So make sure that you're always logging into the secure websites, right? Which brings us to the next point. Make sure that any links that you use have the url.ca.gov for the EDD websites, or that it is the secure link for Bank of America. So again, reminder, if we ever call you, it will show as state of California or display our general number. The calls will be from 8 in the morning to 8 p.m. If you opt for text messages, they will be sent from those two numbers showing on your screen, and EDD will never come to your home. Now, I did include two other scams that you should be aware of. As you noticed, the romance scams were previously covered, but those are actually tied into EDD. But before, let me talk about employment scams. So as part of the pandemic, EDD introduced something called ID Me. We use that process to verify that you are who you say you are, and fraudsters have become creative in the way that they hope that you participate in that validation. So one of the things that they do is that they will pose as an employer who's attempting to fill a vacancy. And when people apply for that job, they'll tell them that they're being considered, but that they must submit an ID Me verification as part of the normal recruitment process. This is not part of the normal recruitment process. What this does is you are giving your information, right? So think about all the info you put on an application, your name, your social, your date of birth. So you're giving them all of that info. And then when you participate in the ID Me, now you are confirming potentially a fraudulent claim. And so if you are seeking employment, and some of our seniors were seeking kind of part-time employment to do small things here and there. If you're seeking employment and somebody asks you to submit an ID Me verification, that is not a true employer seeking an employee. So make sure that you report that fraud to us in case your identity was compromised, but also that you go through and even report that job to whatever website you're using. So whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, so that they on their end can also take down that job posting so other people don't get scammed. Now, the romance scams. The example that was provided before was for money. Now, sometimes it can be a little bit different, right? So in addition to that example, sometimes people will become involved with others through a virtual relationship, essentially so that they can use their address. So once the person establishes trust, they'll ask them, hey, can I have your address? I want to send you flowers, right? This person willingly provides their information, and before you know it, they're receiving hundreds of EDD envelopes for people that they do not know. So if this happens to you or anybody around you, please make us aware of what is happening. I will show you the information for how to report fraud here in a minute, but let us know. This is becoming more and more common. There is no shame in it. There is nothing that you should be upset with yourself about. Just let us know so that we can become aware of what is happening, and more importantly, so we can become aware that you are not involved. Because otherwise, if you don't let us know and we start investigating, it will be very hard to argue that you didn't realize you were receiving hundreds of EDD cards to your address. So just please, if you feel that any point that your identity is being compromised, that it is being used for EDD fraud, let us know. I've gone ahead and in the next slot here, provided the information to how you can report the fraud to us. So you have a couple of different options. If you choose to report fraud online, I've included the link there for you. You are able to attach any supporting documentation. You can also fax in your report. If you're not savvy online, that's okay. The old-fashioned paper way works for us too. Just send us a fax with all the information that you know pertaining to the scheme. Or if you're more comfortable, you can always call our fraud hotline. I've provided the number on there. We are receiving a high number of calls right now. So if you are not able to get through, I encourage you to leave a voicemail. We do listen to those every day. Be aware that EDD can only use the information you provide. So include everything and anything that you feel might be associated to the scheme. So include social security numbers if you have them, dates of birth of the suspects, addresses that the mail is going to, and briefly explain what the situation is. We have heard it all during the pandemic, so please try to provide as much information as possible so that we can narrow down what is going on. Now, if you do find yourself being a victim of ID theft, in addition to reporting theft to us, also be sure to contact the 3 credit bureaus, TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. That way they can freeze your credit. Contact the Social Security Administration so that they can take the proper protocols to secure your identity, and also contact your banking institution so that they are able to protect your funds that you have in the bank. So again, if anything, make sure that you report the fraud to us. I'll leave the screen on here, but thank you very much for having EDD as part of your panel.
Well, thank you very much, Alejandra. Appreciate that. Very informative. So now we'll move on to our next panelist, which is Sally Kim Westlake, an Associate Insurance Compliance Officer from the California Department of Insurance. Sally, are you with us?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Rodriguez, for the opportunity to be here with you today. And thank you all for being here and sharing your day with us. So I'll start with a brief overview of the Department of Insurance, common insurance scams, how you can protect yourself, and close with resources available to you from the Department of Insurance. So California Department of Insurance, also known as CDI, is a state agency, and we regulate the insurance marketplace. We regulate all lines of insurance, homeowners, auto, life, health, to name just a few. We also regulate the insurance companies, agents, and brokers that sell insurance. So we have over 1,400 dedicated employees to oversee more than 1,400 insurance companies, and we license more than 425,000 agents and brokers. We enforce the insurance laws of California, and we have authority over how insurers and licensees conduct business. Now, all of CDI's functions, including overseeing insurer solvency, licensing agents and brokers, conducting market conduct reviews, resolving consumer complaints, and investigating and prosecuting insurance fraud, are to protect consumers. California has the largest insurance market in the United States and fourth largest in the world. California insurance companies collect $340 billion in premiums every year. That's what you and I pay in insurance every year. So as a consumer, if you ever have a problem with your insurance company, agent, or broker, you can call us for help. So Prop 103 allows Californians to elect their own insurance commissioner. Commissioner Ricardo Lara took office in 2019, and he started off running and hasn't looked back. So here's just a small list of the actions taken by Commissioner Lara in 2020 to protect Californians. We hosted over 66 virtual town halls and reached over 25,000 consumers. When the pandemic started and we were on the stay-at-home order, Commissioner Lara quickly realized that Californians aren't driving as much. So he ordered insurance companies to issue partial premium refunds on their auto policies. The result? Financial relief for many of us. This order has returned $1.75 billion to Californians, the most in the nation. And through our investigation of consumer complaints and insurance company practices, we've obtained over $254 million for consumers in 2020 alone. So, reports indicate that seniors are the largest population targeted for scams. So why are seniors big targets? Well, seniors have bank accounts, savings, you've accumulated wealth. You may have money accumulated in your homes, maybe life insurance, retirement savings, and sometimes you may not have a loved one looking out for them. And someone wants to steal a piece of your hard-earned savings. Lastly, most seniors are just too nice, not like the younger generation, right? You have time and want to talk with people, even strangers. Good news is that there's a lot of protection programs for seniors because large number of baby boomers equals large voting power. One of the most common insurance scams involving insurance is an annuity. Why? Californians spend an average of $20 billion on annuities. That's a lot of money to be made by scam agents. So an annuity is a contract between you and the insurance company. You buy it by making one or more premium payments, and they make income payments to you for a fixed period of time in the future. It's often used as an investment vehicle for retirement income. It's sold by licensed insurance agents, usually with the financial background. The growth in annuities are also tax deferred, which makes it attractive to a lot of people. But annuities are great for some and lousy for others. Why? Because there's a 7-year surrender charge. There's a big penalty for you to take your own money back out if you need it, like in case of an emergency. But agents love to sell it because the big upfront commission. Then starts the twisting and turning. This is when the agent gets you into one annuity, then maybe 12, 18 months later calls you up and says he's found a better annuity and you need to switch now. Well, what that means to you is that you may be hit with a big penalty for the early withdrawal, but it's more big upfront commission to the agent again. And you might even have a tax implication on top of it. So do not make any decision to buy an annuity in haste. Sleep on it. Think it over with the family members, someone you trust. If that annuity deal is a good deal today, it'll still be good tomorrow. So let's talk about other common insurance scams, which include premium theft, auto staged accidents, and now COVID-19 related insurance scams as well. So premium theft occurs when you buy an insurance policy from an agent or broker, and they never actually buy that insurance policy. They don't place the policy. They don't bind the policy with the actual insurance company. Instead, they're just stealing the premium. And you're thinking to yourself, well, how can that happen? You have a receipt for the payment. You have a copy of the policy even, and you even get mailed statements. Well, some scam agents, whether they're licensed or not, will go to great lengths to steal money. And let me just tell you about one of the latest arrests that our department has made from an agent in San Clemente. His name is Robert Stoddard. He was arrested after investigation found that he allegedly stole over $1.2 million from 20 victims, including 14 seniors. He's been charged with 51 felony counts of grand theft, elder abuse, money laundering, securities violation, and aggravated white-collar crime enhancements. And the list goes on. So this insurance agent allegedly violated his victims' trust and placed them in financial risk for his own gain. For 6 years, he conducted investment and retirement-related seminars that targeted senior citizens and used various schemes to fraudulently gain the victims' trust and cultivate friendships in order to steal money from them. He forged insurance statements, emails, and letters, which led the victims to believe the information he relayed to them was true. He would even occasionally pay a few investment returns to victims, which of course was later halted. But thank goodness he's been taken into custody, and we hope the victims will be able to get some of their money back. Now, the next scam would be the staged auto accident fraud. Believe it or not, it still occurs. If you get into an accident and something just doesn't feel right, call the police and report it to your insurance company right away. Now, I'm talking about when you get that gut feeling. Okay, let's say you're driving down that street. You drive down regularly all the time, which usually isn't too busy. But all of a sudden, the car in front of you stopped short, and then there was a car next to you, so you couldn't switch lanes. Okay, you guys pull over, but that one car that was next to you that didn't allow you to move over to avoid the accident is nowhere to be found. They're gone. And then the car that you just hit, the driver gets out holding his neck. The passenger gets out holding his back. And then 3 more people come out of the back. Come out of the rear of the car as passengers. And they're all holding parts of their body. And you're like, wait a minute, I barely tapped that car. So something isn't right, right? 2 different kind of potential fraud could be occurring here. One is the driver says, hey, let me do you a favor. I know you don't want your insurance rates to go up. So why don't we settle this on our own? I'm willing to take $1,000, $2,000, depending on the car you're driving, right? And he says, and you know what? I'll even follow you to the bank so we can settle this right now. You can just give me cash. Red alert right here. This is fraud. Okay, you don't want to fall for that. Or even the passengers all claim bodily injury for a minor fender bender and file claims against your insurance company. And you think, well, it doesn't really hurt me because the insurance company is going to pay for it, but your insurance rates is going to go up because the bodily injury claim filed against you. So again, if you get into an accident and something just doesn't feel right, your gut tells you, no, take a deep breath, call the police, call your insurance company, and never give anybody else your more information about your insurance policy than you need to. You do have an obligation to share the information about your policy, that you have insurance and the insurance company name, but do not discuss what your policy limits are. Okay, that's very important. And another new scam that we're hearing about related to COVID-19 and health insurance. You get a call and they say, oh, this is Susan's insurance company, and your cousin Susan is in the hospital really sick, and she needs a respirator right now, but I guess because she was in the hospital, she forgot to make her health insurance premium payment. But if you can go ahead and make the payment for her, we can get her the respirator that she needs right away. Nope, don't fall for it. Insurance companies don't call you, especially family members, and say, oh, give us your credit card number over the phone to make a payment. They will give you, they will mail notices through the mail indicating that you're late on your payment and you have 30 days to make your premium payment. So do not fall for it. Again, trust your instincts. If something doesn't sound right, get their contact info, discuss it with a friend or family member, and then you can always call them back. So here's some insurance warning signs that you should be all aware of. Now, we all know the adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. The agent offers free seminars like at sites like assisted living centers, retirement communities, or places of worship at nice restaurants for a free meal. Great. If you want that free meal, hey, who doesn't want a nice, free dinner at the nice restaurant in your neighborhood? Go ahead and go. Get the information, enjoy the free meal, but you have to be able to walk away from that seminar with a no. You do not give them any information, because what they're trying to do is to gain your personal information so that they could take advantage of that information at a later time. So the agent offers to create or update a living trust. And that's all so that they could get your financial information, just like that agent I told you about in San Clemente. It's up to you to guard your personal information. There's no such thing as a senior retirement living trust specialist. That's their own designation that they create so they could make you feel more comfortable to trust them even more. Let's see. So seniors also have more rights when it comes to insurance, and it's called the Senior Insurance Bill of Rights, SIBOR. And the full list can be found on our website. But one senior right is that you can review a policy of life, annuity, long-term care, or Medicare supplement for 30 days. That's after you buy it, and that's after you receive the policy, in order to decide whether you wish to keep that policy. If you feel like you made that decision, you bought that in haste and you didn't really understand it, you can actually return the policy and get a full refund. So what can you do to avoid becoming a victim of insurance fraud? Check the status of the insurance company and agent on our website and make sure they're in good standing. Do not leave any blank spaces on an application. The dishonest agents can fill in all the blanks without your approval. Get everything in writing and compare policies. Never pay in cash. Make checks payable to the insurance company or agency business name and not in the agent's name. And don't buy coverage you can't afford. Only the coverage that you need. Avoid being over or underinsured, and ask questions. Never feel pressured or intimidated. Consider having a trusted person with you, okay, when you're meeting with an agent and you're considering buying a new policy. So what else can you do to protect yourself? And I tell seniors all the time, do not engage. Like I said at the beginning, seniors are often too nice. Do not give that scammer, do not give that solicitor, especially over the phone, the opportunity to talk to you. Don't engage with them. If you didn't ask for that phone call and it's a cold call, hang up. You don't have to be polite. It's okay to hang up. Be stingy with your personal information. Change your passwords. And again, hang up the phone. Stop being so nice. It's okay. And you have to report fraud. If not you, this problem is never going to stop. If you suspect anything, please report fraud. So who can you call? If you suspect fraud, call it, report it. Well, here's 3 organizations right here: Department of Insurance, the Senior Medicare Patrol, ARP Fraud Watch Network Hotline. And you can also look at newest insurance scams on the last website that's listed on here. And if you're really quick right now, you can go ahead and take a picture of this slide so you have all of these phone numbers, these resources available to you on your fingertips. So next up are some resources just available for seniors. So Senior Gateway is a site on our website. It's a one-stop website intended to provide seniors, their families, and caregivers with the information they need to connect to helpful services and resources to find answers and solve problems. So if you're really not sure where you need to go for help, you can start with the Department of Insurance, access Senior Gateway. We can connect you to all the resources, especially for seniors. We also have informational guides specifically for seniors available to you on our website. It's in PDF form. We can also mail you the brochure if you'd like a hard copy, all free, available to you on our website. And if you look at any of our, on my slides, it's at the bottom, but here's how you contact the Department of Insurance. If you have any questions about insurance, if you suspect fraud, if your agent isn't calling you back, if you get denied a claim coverage, call us. Department of Insurance, call our consumer hotline at 1-800-927-4357 or visit us on our website at www.insurance.ca.gov. Thank you so much for your time today and for being here. I hope that you leave here today remembering knowledge is power and you are ready to take action and to protect yourself. Thank you, Assemblymember Rodriguez.
Well, thank you, Sally. Thank you for your time and information as well. But with that said, Sally, we're going to have to come up on time as we're kind of ending our hour. I just want to thank everybody for participating. And any other questions, feel free to contact my office. Unfortunately, I'm sorry we couldn't get to finish and get to the questions we had. But with that, folks that are on, feel free to contact my office there in Chino. It's 909 area code 902-9606 for any further information. And we'll gladly help in the best way we can. So at that, thanks for everybody's participation and your help. And once again, feel free to contact my office, anything we do to help. Thank you all for participating and have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.